The House will come to order. Prayer by the chaplain.
It's good to be with you again. I was just saying to the speaker, I don't know why, but this is my 16th appearance over 30 years in the House and the Senate. So I don't know if nobody else comes, but anyway, I recognize that there are many faith traditions here, and I come from a Lutheran perspective, so I will pray or pause. You may pause for meditation. We gather together in the sacred chamber today, and we thank you for the blessing of this day. And we thank you for the cold. It reminds us that that's why we live here, and that's why others think that we're just, stuck in shelters, but we're not. We are a people alive with your spirit and your energy. And so I ask this day that the Spirit would be upon each member of this House chamber. You have been chosen by the people of the state to represent them, to share their thoughts and interests. And so we ask that there are so many things before this body in this session this year that we would pray for a spirit of unity, a spirit of centered purpose, and a reminder that working together we can overcome what at times seem to be huge challenges. And Lord, we just ask that you would keep those who aren't here today well and safe, and strengthen this body in the work that it is to do. Amen.
The chaplain for today is Reverend Ralph Olson from the Union Gospel Mission, St. Paul, Minnesota. Pledge of Allegiance. Please remain standing and recite the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America. So members, at this time, I would like to introduce and welcome our two new House members who took the oath yesterday. Clark P. Johnson from District 19A and Tamara Tice from District 14A. Join me in welcoming them to the State House. The clerk will take the roll. The clerk will close the roll. A quorum is present. The clerk will read the journal of the preceding day.
Journal of the House, 88th session, 2013. 15th day, St. Paul, Monday, February 18th, 2013.
If there is no objection, the further reading of the journal will be dispensed with, and the journal will be approved as corrected by the Chief Clerk. Hearing no objection, the journal is approved as corrected by the Chief Clerk. Reports of standing committees and divisions. A copy of this order of business has been placed on each member's desk. If there's no objection, the reports will be adopted. Representative Doubt.
Mr. Speaker, I'd move that we reject the committee report from the Committee on Rules and Legislative Administration on House File 677, and I'd ask for a roll call vote.
Representative Doubt, as we've done in the past, what I'd like to do is adopt the remaining reports, and then we'll take up your motion, if that's okay. So Representative Doubt temporarily withdraws his motion.
Mr. Speaker?
Representative Pepin.
Mr. Speaker, I also object. I'd like to object and request a roll call on the adoption of the committee report from the Government Operations Committee, House File 507, and I'm fine with doing it after the other order of business. And Mr. Speaker, I'd like a roll call.
Well, so members, what we'll do is take up the rest of the committee reports first and adopt those, and then take up these individually. And I hear your request for roll calls as well. We'll take that up at the appropriate time. So the motion or the business before the body is to adopt the reports of standing committees and divisions, except for House File 507 and House File 677. Hearing no objection to that, those reports are adopted. To Representative, Pepin's motion then, it's not a motion, but on House File 507, on the adoption of House File 507, that's the order of business before the body. A roll call has been requested. Are there 15 hands? Seeing 15 hands, there will be a roll call. Representative Pepin, did you want to address House File 507 further?
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I'd like to send this back to committee so that we have more time to work on it. We did go over time in committee. It's a very important bill, has a lot of implications, and we'd just like more time to work on it. Because we had another important bill that day, we had very little time in committee, and I just would like to see our members have more time to offer questions.
Representative Nelson.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. And we did have a lot of questions on this bill, but the parts that are germane or are in the jurisdiction of government operations, we took care of. At least those weren't the questions we were getting at the end. The questions we were getting at the end had to deal with taxes, and it's going to the tax committee next. And that's what the referral is. Those questions should be answered in taxes. There was also questions on finance. We're not a finance committee. We're a policy committee. And so the stuff that we were supposed to take care of, we had a full and long hearing on it, and I think we should defeat this motion.
Representative Drazkowski.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, members, I'd like to just mention that I remember the committee went over about 10 minutes or so at the time that I left. I had questions left on my pallet for committee-specific questions, and didn't get a chance to even ask those questions. So I'd encourage you to support Representative Pepin's motion.
Representative Pepin.
Mr. Speaker, could you advise the body on a red and green vote?
I will. Representative Doubt. I will right before the vote, if that's okay with you. Representative Doubt.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I'd like to move for a call of the House.
A call of the House has been requested. There are 10 hands. Seeing 10 hands, the clerk will take the roll. Members, if you're here, please check in.
Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker.
Representative Doubt, what purpose do you
I move
rise?
that further proceedings under the roll call be dispensed with and that the Sergeant-at-Arms be instructed to bring in the absent members.
Representative Doubt moves that further proceedings under the roll call be suspended and the clerk order to bring in the absent members. Is there any discussion on that? Are we ready? Okay. All those in favor of Representative Doubt's motion say aye. Aye. All opposed, no. Motion prevails. The clerk will close the roll and the Sergeant-at-Arms will bring in the absent members. Further discussion to the adoption on House File 507. Representative Hertas. Okay. Members, we are moving. The order of business before the body is adoption of House File 507. A green vote would be to adopt the report and refer it on to the committee that onto taxes. A red vote would be to not adopt the report and have the bill returned to the Government Operations Committee. Representative Fabian.
Thank you, Mr. Personal privilege.
Please state your point of personal privilege.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Located up in the gallery today, we have several leaders, new emerging leaders from the Red River Valley Emerging Leaders Program. I'd like the House to recognize these talented young individuals that have ventured down here on this cold winter day to St. Paul.
Representative Pepin.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker and members. I would just encourage members to vote red.
Seeing no further discussion, the clerk will take the roll on adoption of the committee report on House File 507.
Mr. Speaker.
Representative Garofalo.
Mr. Speaker, I move those not voting be excused from voting.
Representative Garofalo moves that all those not voting be excused from voting. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye. All those opposed, no. Motion prevails. The clerk will close the roll. There being 68 ayes and 57 nays, the report is adopted. Now, to Representative Doubt, the next business before us is the adoption of the report from the committee on House File 677. Representative Doubt.
And I did request a roll call as well, Mr. Speaker.
Roll call was requested. Seeing 15 hands, there will be a roll call.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker and members. This obviously is the Dayton tax plan that we've been waiting for. It obviously didn't get to us exactly on time, but it is here, and this is our first opportunity to have a discussion about whether we think this is the right direction for Minnesota or whether we think this is the wrong direction for Minnesota. The governor introduced this tax bill, introduced his tax plan some weeks ago, and we've had a lot of discussion. There's been a lot of questions about it, some of which have been answered subsequently. Some of them I think we're still waiting to get more clarification on, and we look forward to continued discussion about this bill. But I would propose that this bill is not the right direction for Minnesota at this time. We've seen over the last 2 years, when I was sworn in 2 years ago, we had a $6.2 billion deficit. Today we have a $2.5 billion surplus, and actually higher than that. And once the February forecast comes out, we'll see additional revenue that's come in higher than forecast. And we did that not only because we didn't raise taxes, not only just that we didn't raise taxes, but it actually happened because we didn't raise taxes. And I don't want to say that because of the policies we put in place that we as politicians grew the economy and created jobs, but exactly the opposite could happen if we put this policy in place. Minnesotans know that the economy is recovering. Unemployment's down from 7% 2 years ago to 5.5% today. Minnesota's economy is headed in the right direction, but if we take this wrong step, we're going to see the economy hindered, and middle-class Minnesotans will bear the brunt of these tax increases. So here's our opportunity to have our first discussion about the governor's tax bill and decide if we think this is the right direction. Obviously, the governor thinks this is the right direction, but ultimately we have to decide as a legislature if we agree with that. So I would propose that this is the wrong direction for Minnesota at the wrong time, and I would encourage you to vote against adoption of this committee report.
Representative Murphy.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker and members. Strangely, if we don't vote yes for this committee report, the Rules Committee will have a chance to debate again the governor's tax proposal, and it seems much more apt that it would be the tax committee that would have the opportunity to take a look at the governor's tax proposal. You know, for 10 years we've been balancing the budget in Minnesota with gimmicks and shifts and using one-time sources of money. Minnesotans have asked for a different direction. They're tired of the status quo. They're tired of games. They want us to have an honest discussion about the budget, and that includes this tax proposal and the tax proposals that will come from this House of Representatives. I'd ask you to vote yes for this report so the tax committee, who has the responsibility to look at this policy for Minnesota first, is able to do it. To send it back to rules would be a perversion of our system. Thank you.
Representative Lenczewski.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Members, Representative Dowd, I would encourage you to withdraw your motion. Representative Dowd, I'm carrying this bill for the governor, and I carried the Governor Plenty's tax bill. It is a common courtesy, members, that folks who are in the position of chairing the tax committee carry the governor's tax bill. Again, I'm doing that for Governor Dayton. I did it for Governor Plenty. We all owe the gracious act of allowing our governors, even when they're not in our own party, to have a full hearing in the appropriate place. Mr. Speaker, Representative Dowd, I would really ask you to consider withdrawing that motion. This is a simple act that folks understand. The committee, the tax committee, is the committee who should begin the discussion. Certainly everybody else will be involved in this. This is a simple procedural motion, members. Many governors have gotten their language before the House and Senate a little short of the time they're allotted, and that's been very bipartisan around here. And we can bring the record out for you all on that. And what we've done is seen these bills go to rules and then go to the committee that they're supposed to go to. Again, let's give Governor Dayton the same respect we gave Governor Plenty and get this bill to the tax committee.
Representative Anderson.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. And members, I would encourage you to vote to send this bill back to the Rules Committee. We do not want to give the impression to the state of Minnesota that we support this tax plan. And as we've had a chance to hear about this tax plan in the tax committee in particular, we've heard it in Ways and Means, what we found is that this is going to be a huge price tag on the citizens of Minnesota. And in particular, it's going to hit the low and middle class families more than anybody else. I know that I've had some Twitter conversations with Representative Radinovich on this issue. We talked about how the clothing tax is going to hit those folks that have to buy work boots. Work boots cost over $100. And that means the working men and women of this state are going to pay an additional tax. On top of that, the governor's plan includes extension of the sales tax to food items. Now, Minnesota's had a proud tradition of not taxing essential things like food and clothing. Yet here we have a tax plan that is going to add to the taxes that average Minnesota families have to pay. So if you go out to the grocery store and you pick up, say, some hot dogs for your kids, maybe you need some lunch meat for those lunches that you're going to take every day to work or to your kids' school lunch, they're going to now pay a 5.5% tax. What's worse is they're going to pay a 6.15% tax if you live in Hennepin County. We have gone way beyond anything that we have ever done in this state by taxing both food and clothing, everything that we as a state has had a tradition of saying these are essential items and that you shouldn't force low and middle class income families to pay for. Now, I know that I have some support from the opposite side of the aisle. As I mentioned, Representative Radinovich and I had some conversations about this over Twitter on the importance of not taxing our working families in the state of Minnesota. I know that Representative Dorholt had also had some issues with this, and he expressed some concern to his local newspapers when we're talking about the business-to-business sales tax. I know that when I went to my Twin West legislative breakfast and I heard from different legislators that are part of the Twin West, from Representative Carlson, my senator, Senator Terry Bonhoeff, a whole host of different members that said, this is the wrong approach, because what we're doing here today is we're taxing consumers. We're making it so that we cannot have good-paying jobs in this state, and we're telling businesses to go away. If we're truly about building jobs in this state, if we're truly about making this an affordable place for the average Minnesota family to live, we don't want to send a message to the state that we support this plan. So please, members, vote against the governor's plan. It is not appropriate. It's not something affordable or sustainable for this state.
Representative Woodard.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and I would support sending this back to the Rules Committee. It's been discussed that we should have an open and honest conversation about this, and we should give the governor the ability to present this tax plan. The governor has, and the court of public opinion is pretty clear here. We're hearing from small businesses, from Minnesotans of all creeds and colors, that this is a bad tax plan. Let's send this back to Rules Committee. Let's talk about a tax plan that Minnesotans can really sink their teeth into and understand and believe in. This is one that's dead on arrival. Let's not waste our time with this tax plan, and let's find one that we can find with bipartisan support, that we can move forward, that we can actually impact taxes in a positive way, not in a negative way, which you're doing now, which is spreading out the sales tax on local businesses, on local municipalities. This is going to increase property taxes. We all know this is a bad tax bill. So let's put it back in Rules Committee and let's have a tax conversation that actually makes sense. We've also had a discussion about gimmicks, and certainly the education bill is full of gimmicks, including continuing to shift the education shift on to all the way back to 2017. It's going to cost us another $86 million because we're not addressing the shift in this budget, plus $90 million going into 2016, 2017. It's full of shifts and gimmicks. I absolutely agree. Minnesotans are clear on this issue. We have to have an open budget, a transparent budget that doesn't have these shifts and gimmicks, that doesn't try to create mandates without funding. And let's really have that conversation. Let's push this back to the Rules Committee and have a new tax bill. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Representative Loon. Nope. Representative Scott.
Well, thank you, Mr. Speaker, and I would concur. I believe this needs to be sent back to the Rules Committee. You know, right after the governor's budget was released, I heard from a woman in my district who had been a single mom for 10 years. And she said the single most devastating thing to her when she was a single mom was when her car broke down. And this tax bill for a $250 car repair bill would cost another $14. So a $250 car bill would now cost $264.38. You know, and let's look at a haircut. If you go to Great Clips and get a $10.99 haircut, it's going to add 63 cents to the cost of a haircut. If you have 3 kids, take that times 3. How many haircuts a year do they get? You can do the math. Additionally, this tax bill would also put a tax, a 5.75% tax. Excuse me, Mr. Speaker, could you get people to quiet down? I'm having a hard time. A $6.99 bottle of Tylenol, which is not taxed now, baby Tylenol, would add this sales tax would add another 40 cents to the price of a bottle of baby Tylenol. Now, I don't know about you folks, but I'm guessing in most of your districts, all that's going to add up to our families. And so I would just urge that this bill be referred back to the Rules Committee. Thank you.
Representative. Further discussion. Representative Doubt.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker and members. You know, obviously, I think we all know what this bill does. It's a tax increase on middle-class Minnesotans. Again, I'm disappointed to hear the campaign trail words used in here in the House chamber. Shifts and gimmicks. I think we can certainly say that this particular bill has shifts and gimmicks in it. And it's pretty disturbing to hear members of this body say that the budget over the last 2 years that created $2.5 billion surplus without putting burden on middle-class Minnesota families, to refer to that using campaign words like shifts and gimmicks. We owe Minnesotans better. We owe Minnesotans better than to use words like that. And I'm not going to engage in that about this budget. I think it's pretty obvious that if we just debate this budget and this tax plan on its merits, we can all see that this is the wrong direction for Minnesota. What we've got here, members, is, as you've heard the governor say, a $3.7 billion tax increase to solve a $1.1 billion problem. I think people back in your district can tell pretty quickly that that's the wrong direction for Minnesota. That's going to hurt Minnesota's economy, and it's going to hurt job growth in Minnesota. That's the wrong direction for Minnesota. Make sure your voice is heard today by voting red on this bill. Let's not adopt the committee report, and let's send the message that we don't need $3.7 billion in tax increases to solve a $1.1 billion problem. Please reject the committee report.
Representative Lenczewski.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, members, please join me in voting red on this job-killing, budget-busting tax increase proposal coming from the governor. A green vote votes for job-killing, budget-busting tax increases. Members, we've heard some of this in committee already. The income tax increases, members, the income tax increase is going to generate over $1 billion. Taking money from Minnesotans who may not be Minnesotans for much longer. We're going to create some new South Dakotans with this particular proposal. Vote no. The snowbird tax, we read about it. The legislators from Florida are sending letters saying, Governor Dayton, what are you doing? You're creating more Floridians with this snowbird tax. Oh, and then the sales tax increases. Well, we heard from the Wisconsin legislators saying, well, Minnesota, go ahead and pass those job-killing, budget-busting tax increases, and what you will have is more Wisconsinites more productive Minnesotans becoming Wisconsinites, fleeing our state from the oppressive taxation in this proposal. Vote no on this particular proposal. Members, the cigarette tax increases. This is full of problems. The cigarette tax increases. 50 to 60% of the similar tax increases on tobacco in other states has actually been realized. So Majority Leader Murphy, if we want to create something that's unpredictable, let's pass along this tax increase on cigarettes, because the track record has been that you only collect a fraction of what is predicted. We know what that does. It sets us up for budget failure in the future. This is a job-killing, budget-busting proposal. A green vote is for job-killing, budget-busting taxes. Please vote no.
Seeing no further discussion, we are on the adoption of the report for House File 677. A green vote will send it from the Rules Committee to the Taxes Committee. A red vote would send it back to the Rules Committee. The clerk will take the roll. It's down to 5. The clerk will close the roll. There being 71 ayes and 58 nays, the report is adopted. Second reading of House Files.
Second reading, House File 368.
Second reading.
Second reading, House File 365.
Second reading. Introduction of bills. The following House Files have been offered for introduction today. The Chief Clerk will report the House Files and give them their first reading.
Introduction and first reading of House File 713 through 759.
First reading, House File 715 to 713 through 759. Report from the Committee on Rules and Legislative Administration.
Report from the Committee on Rules. Murphy for the Committee on Rules, pursuant to Rules 1.21 and 3.33, designates the following bills to be placed on the calendar for today for Thursday, February 21st, 2013, and establishes a pre-filing requirement. House File 278.
Motions and resolutions. Members, there are copies of the non-controversial motions at the House desk and online. If there are no objection to those, we'll take action on those motions first. Hearing no objection, those motions prevail.
Mack moves that House File 404 be recalled from the Committee on State Government Finance, Veterans Affairs, and re-referred to the Committee on Health and Human Services Finance.
Representative Mack, to your motion.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. And I have had a conversation with chairs of both committees, just hoping to get this bill re-referred, and would appreciate the support.
Further discussion? All those in favor say aye. All opposed, no. Motion prevails.
Hortman moves that House File 446 be recalled from the Committee on Commerce, Consumer Protection, Finance, and Policy and be re-referred to the Committee on Civil Law.
Representative Hortman.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Before I make that motion, I would move that the call of the House be lifted.
Representative Hortman moves that the call of the House be lifted. All those in favor say aye. All opposed, no. Motion prevails. Representative Hortman.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I would like to move that House File 446 be recalled from the Committee on Commerce and re-referred to the Committee on Civil Law
And the reason is there's a similar bill already in civil law, and these two should be heard together, and then we'll go back to commerce. And I have spoken to the chair that we're taking the bill from, and he's fine with that.
Further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor of the motion say aye. All opposed, no. Motion prevails.
Moran moves that House File 415 be returned to its author.
Representative Moran.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. That's my bill, and I would like it returned to me.
All those in favor of the motion say aye. All opposed, no. Motion prevails.
Atkins and Detmer moving to introducing House Resolution Number 3, a House resolution expressing the sense of the House in opposing the International Olympic Committee's decision to eliminate wrestling. The resolution is being referred to the Committee on Rules and Legislative Administration.
Announcements. Representative Erickson. Representative Ward.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker and members. The freshman members would like to invite all of the House members to a reception next Tuesday at Sweeney's from 6 to 9. I hope that you can come. There is an email in your boxes. Some of you we got bounce backs on, so check and see where your email is. If you have questions, please give me a call.
Further announcements. Representative Scott.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Point of personal privilege.
State your point of personal privilege.
I'd like to welcome today to the House Gallery a contingent of homeschoolers from my district with the Anchor Homeschool Program, and I just would ask the Chamber to welcome them.
Further announcements. Representative Hackbarth.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker and members. In room 400 South, we're going to have a little caucus for power sports. If you're interested in snowmobiles, dirt bikes, ATVs, that sort of thing, we're going to try to form a little power sports caucus. So if you're interested in that, please stop by 400 South immediately after session. We're going to talk about putting this thing together. If we get enough members interested, we'll form this caucus. If not, we'll let it go. But please stop in 400 South and let's talk about it. Thank you.
Representative Norton.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker and members. I'd like to remind you that tomorrow from 4:30 to 5:30, the Childhood Obesity Work Group, which is a bipartisan group that Representative Detmer and I have co-chaired for a number of years, is meeting in room 500 South, and we welcome you all to join us with your thoughts, ideas, and learn where we're at.
Representative Clark.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I just wanted to remind members of the Housing Policy and Housing Finance Committee that we're meeting immediately. We're starting a little bit late, but we are meeting immediately. We have quite a few testimonials to take, so please come right away over to the State Office building. Thank you.
Representative Doubt.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Wondering if the Majority Leader could give us an indication if we've received any more of the Governor's bills. I know we've received the tax bill now we've moved, and I think you've indicated we've received a couple more, but we're waiting for the rest of those bills and wondering if you can give us an indication if we have received those and they're ready for introduction.
Representative Murphy.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, Representative Doubt, and members. We have received 3 more bills from the Governor: Public Safety, Transportation, and Jobs. They are on their way to the Rules Committee, and I predict more procedural motions ahead.
Representative Doubt.
Thank you.
Further announcements. Representative Murphy.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker and members. I move that when the House adjourns today, it adjourns until 3 p.m. Thursday, February 21st, 2013.
Representative Murphy moves that when the House adjourn today, it'll adjourn until 3 p.m. Thursday, February 21st, 2013. All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed, no. Motion prevails. Representative Murphy.
I move that the House do now adjourn.
Representative Murphy moves that the House do now adjourn. All in favor say aye. All opposed, nay. The motion prevails. The House stands adjourned until 3 p.m. Thursday, February 21st, 2013.